From a young age, Lee Yo-jin did not receive good treatment from her mother, and her father was indifferent. Gradually, her personality became warped, and she developed an antisocial disorder. As she grew up, she took pleasure in taking revenge on every person who had hurt her or shown hostility towards her. Teacher Ren had once mocked her as a powerless, uninfluential orphan, which helped her harbor hatred in her heart. On the teacher's birthday, all the students in the class were congratulating her when suddenly, the teacher's husband rushed in and slapped her hard. He also scattered intimate photos of her and another man on the floor. With her extramarital affair exposed, the teacher instantly became the epitome of disgrace. Amidst the disgusted stares of the students, she stumbled and ran out of the school. Yo-jin walked up, grabbed her, and whispered in her ear, asking if she liked the gift she gave her. The teacher stared at the subtly smiling Yo-jin as if she was seeing a devil. She never imagined that this seemingly weak and harmless girl could have such a vicious mind. A debate competition was soon to be held at the school. Jun Rui, a gifted student who had been selected, voluntarily offered to give his spot to Yo-jin. Sung-hee, who was selected at the same time, already disliked Yo-jin because Yo-jin's exam results were always better than hers. She reported this to her mother. Her mother, who was the representative of the parent association and donated money to the school every month, promised to help her deal with Yo-jin. But Sung-hee still called Jun Rui, asking him to participate in the competition with her instead of giving his spot to Yo-jin. She couldn't have imagined that at that moment, Jun Rui was lying on Yo-jin's lap. Their relationship seemed abnormal. Yo-jin spotted a love letter written by Sung-hee in Jun Rui's school bag, and she immediately said she would reply on Jun Rui's behalf. The next day, a rumor spread throughout the school that Yo-jin was an orphan. Not only that, but the school authorities also received a complaint from parents that she was having difficulty getting along with the debate team members. The school decided to withdraw her spot and give the opportunity to Jun Rui instead. Yo-jin returned to the classroom. Sung-hee immediately rushed over to mock her for being removed from the debate team. Yo-jin handed a love letter to Sung-hee, saying Jun Rui had asked her to deliver it. Sung-hee excitedly opened it, but saw written in red pen, "No one likes you, you're so annoying, stop exaggerating." Sung-hee became angry and embarrassed. Just then, the class teacher received another piece of news. Someone had complained that a contestant's parents had bribed the judges. The school decided to cancel this year's debate competition. Sung-hee was certain that Yo-jin was behind it. She matched Yo-jin's handwriting on her own notes with the handwriting on the love letter and confirmed that the handwriting was identical. In retaliation, she poured a bucket of water over Yo-jin. Yo-jin returned to the classroom soaking wet. Jun Rui quickly brought a towel and took her to the nurse's room. Yo-jin held Jun Rui's hand and complained that she was worried Sung-hee would do something else, and asked Jun Rui to help her. Meanwhile, Sung-hee found the mobile phone of the school-skipping student, Jae-woo. Opening it, she was surprised to find Jae-woo was watching pornographic tapes, and his chat history showed a boss was giving him instructions. Sung-hee reported this to the teacher, and Jae-woo was severely criticized. Upon hearing the news, Yo-jin immediately went to Jae-woo. Jae-woo assured her that he hadn't exposed her. In fact, Yo-jin was Jae-woo's boss. She had accidentally caught Jae-woo stealing in class but didn't expose him, instead demanding that Jae-woo must obey her. This is how they formed an alliance. Jae-woo was willing to accept the punishment, but hearing he would protect Yo-jin, Yo-jin walked up and hugged Jae-woo, instructing him to deal with Sung-hee. At the same time, Jun Rui sought out Sung-hee alone and told her that Yo-jin had written the reply to the love letter, but he actually liked Sung-hee. To date Sung-hee, Jun Rui suggested that they both skip PE class and return to the classroom. Sung-hee feigned pain and asked the teacher for permission to rest in the classroom. Returning to the classroom, she saw a line written on the blackboard, "Come to the art room." After reading it, she erased the writing. And came to the art room. She saw the art teacher holding Yo-jin's hand and talking, with Yo-jin saying things like "true love." Sung-hee didn't know that after she left the classroom, Jae-woo opened her locker and secretly put the class dues, stolen from the class captain's pocket and intended for buying the class teacher's wedding gift inside. Unable to find Jun-rui, Sung-hee returned to the classroom. Soon, the other students also returned. At this time, the class captain noticed that the money for the gift was missing. Everyone knew that Sung-hee had returned to the classroom earlier with permission, so many accused her of stealing the money. To prove her innocence, Sung-hee took everything out of her bag. Jae-woo took this opportunity to kick open her locker. Inside, her phone and the missing money were clearly visible. With the evidence caught red-handed, everyone believed Sung-hee was the thief. Sung-hee looked at Yo-jin standing in the doorway and silently said, "It's not over yet." Sung-hee instantly realized that this was all Yo-jin's conspiracy. To expose Yo-jin's true colors, she shouted out, accusing Yo-jin of being the mastermind behind Jae-woo's distribution of pornographic tapes. She claimed to have seen the messages on Jae-woo's phone with her own eyes. Jae-woo took out his phone and proved in front of everyone that he had no record of contact with Yo-jin. Sung-hee realized that Jae-woo had tampered with something. She then wanted to expose the secret relationship between Yo-jin and the art teacher, but before she could finish, the class teacher rushed in and slapped her hard. It turned out that the person the class teacher was going to marry was that art teacher. No one knew this. Only Yo-jin had accidentally heard this secret from the class captain. Yo-jin stepped forward and explained that the art teacher was concerned about her and had advised her to go to the True Love Consulting Center for mental counseling. Everyone condemned Sung-hee for making baseless false accusations. Sung-hee, unable to prove her innocence, desperately tried to explain that she had returned to the classroom to meet Jun-rui. But Jun-rui innocently pretended that he had been in the equipment room with the PE class representative the entire class. The PE class representative also stepped forward to testify. The furious Sung-hee asked Jun-rui why he was doing this to her. Jun-rui stepped closer and quietly replied that he had warned her earlier not to mess with Yo-jin. The punished Sung-hee left the school in a daze. She swore that she would have her powerful and influential parents deal with Yo-jin. Just then, Yo-jin gave her another cruel piece of news. The teacher with whom the affair occurred was her lawyer father. Once the scandal was exposed, her father's reputation would be ruined, and Sung-hee would also become the thief daughter of that lawyer. At the school gate, Sung-hee suddenly encountered Yo-jin's father, who had come looking for his daughter. Seeing the man's dirty clothes and bad appearance, she deliberately led him inside the school. She loudly announced to the people around that this was Yo-jin's father. Yo-jin's father also shouted his daughter's name on campus and asked Yo-jin to meet him. Receiving the news, Yo-jin rushed over, trying to drive her father away. Fortunately, Jun-rui found her father before her. He promised him money and took the man out of the school. Jun-rui took out some money, gave it to Yo-jin's father, and warned him not to bother Yo-jin in the future. However, Yo-jin's father already saw his daughter as a source of income. Whenever he ran out of money, he would come to cause trouble. To punish the troublemaker Sung-hee, Yo-jin deliberately threw Sung-hee's notebook in front of everyone. Inside the notebook, Sung-hee had divided her classmates into different tiers like 3, 6, 9, and had insulting comments about various classmates. The contents of the notebook caused enormous resentment. As a result, Sung-hee was later retaliated against by her classmates. Unable to bear the bullying, she decided to change schools. In the absence of her father's troubles and Sung-hee's attacks, an unprecedented peace returned to Yo-jin's life. But this peace didn't last long. She suddenly received a call from Jae-woo. Jae-woo had stepped forward to protect his younger brother, snatching the knife from his father's hand. In the chaos, he accidentally stabbed and killed his father. After leaving his younger brother at a relative's house, Jae-woo decided to surrender to the police. He called Yo-jin, reminding her that for so many years, only Yo-jin had told him that he was a useful person. He thanked Yo-jin for bringing a glimpse of light into his life. Afterward, Yo-jin and Jun-rui lived a peaceful campus life together. They both got admitted to university. Jun-rui borrowed some money from his grandfather to pay Yo-jin's tuition fee and comforted Yo-jin not to feel burdened, saying that everything would be better in the future. Just as Yo-jin was wholeheartedly dreaming of university life, her father, who had lost everything gambling, came again and snatched the money she had saved for her university fees. That year, her father insisted that his wife had died by falling down the stairs while drunk. After hastily completing the funeral, the father took her to his stepmother's house, and Jun Rui was the stepmother's son. The stepmother didn't want to raise Yo Jin, who had no blood relation to her. The father told her that Yo Jin was a way to make money, and that shooting and selling some videos would earn a lot of money. The stepmother then decided to shoot some videos first and then send Yo Jin to an orphanage. Yo Jin, standing outside, overheard the two of them. She couldn't believe that she had escaped one hell only to fall into another wolf's den. One night, Jun Rui fell ill, but his mother only told him to sleep well and then didn't check on him again. Yo Jin voluntarily took care of Jun Rui. Jun Rui took out the family photo album to show her. The photos included Jun Rui's mother, his deceased father, and Kang Sejik, who had gone abroad. Yo Jin immediately realized that Kang Sejik was Jun Rui's real father. Taking the opportunity of a visit to Jun Rui at the hospital, Yo Jin met Jun Rui's mother and threatened her not to send her to an orphanage. Otherwise, she would tell Jun Rui's grandfather about Jun Rui's birth identity, which would lead to Jun Rui being deprived of his inheritance. Jun Rui's mother never imagined that such a young Yo Jin would have such courage and became somewhat afraid. A few days later, Jun Rui's mother overheard Yo Jin again, misleading her son. She was saying that his mother didn't take care of him when he was sick, so she didn't love him at all. Yo Jin claimed that only she truly loved him. Unable to bear it any longer, Jun Rui's mother completely broke down. Soon after, Yo Jin woke up from the hospital and saw Jun Rui crying, standing beside her bed. Jun Rui said that he had read Yo Jin's diary and learned that Big Bad Man X written in the diary referred to his mother. Jun Rui was now sure that Yo Jin was the only person who loved him. After this incident, he would firmly stand by Yo Jin. The flashback ends. Yo Jin slowly woke up from her coma and saw Jun Rui holding her hand tightly. After learning that she had been in a coma for 3 days, she immediately remembered that the university enrollment registration was still due. She quickly called the school. The school staff informed her that since the registration time had passed, her admission spot had been given to a student on the waiting list. On their way home, Yo Jin and Jun Rui saw a man bravely catching a thief. Yo Jin stared at the man with deep concentration. She decided in her heart that this was the opportunity given by fate. She thought that this upright and agile man might be her guardian angel. Soon, Yo Jin got a job at the coffee shop run by this man. She learned from a colleague that the boss used to be a famous athlete but was forced to retire due to an injury. While working, someone took a picture of Yo Jin and posted it online. Because of her beautiful appearance, Yo Jin quickly became popular. Not only did she attract people's attention, but some perverted stalkers also started eyeing her for some hidden motives. One day, as Yo Jin was going home after work, a stalker followed her. Jun Rui called Yo Jin and saw her phone and bag lying in the middle of the road. Following the direction, he searched and found Yo Jin hitting the stalker with a rock. Jun Rui rushed over to check if Yo Jin was hurt, but Yo Jin instead complained that he was too late and asked how much he was willing to do for her. Jun Rui replied that he was willing to do anything except murder. Yo Jin was slightly disappointed to hear that. As she left, she told him that if he wanted to kill someone for her, Jun Rui should start with the people close to him. Jun Rui threatened the stalker and said he would help call an ambulance only if he forgot about today's incident. He then threw away the rock Yo Jin had tossed, so Yo Jin wouldn't get into trouble. Yo Jin returned home and saw her father, who had come for money, standing at the door talking on the phone. The shameless man was discussing with the person on the other end whether to have Yo Jin filmed or sell her to an island. He even thought about cutting off and selling her organs to make money. To relieve Yo Jin of her troubles, Jun Rui secretly followed Yo Jin's father and took pictures as evidence that her father was selling pinhole cameras. But his presence was noticed by Yo Jin's father. Yo Jin's father quickly ran away. Jun Rui chased after him, beat him up severely, and choked him until he passed out. He picked up a brick lying on the floor, intending to end the life of this beast, but he couldn't do it at the last moment. This scene was accidentally witnessed by Yo Jin. She was extremely disappointed in Jun Rui. Jun Rui was taken to the police station for assaulting Yo Jin's father. He complained to the police that Yo Jin's father was the bad guy who had been following and abusing him for a long time. But Yo Jin, on the other hand, identified him and said that Jun Rui was the stalker and had hurt her father to save him. Jun Rui wanted to take out the video he had shot at the moment to prove Yo Jin's father's crime, but the video was already gone. He suddenly remembered that Yo Jin had picked up his phone and given it to the police at that time. He didn't understand why Yo Jin did this. Yo Jin said that the moment Jun Rui hesitated when picking up the brick, she understood that Jun Rui couldn't possibly hurt her father. To completely eliminate him, Yo Jin began to implement her plan. She drew a wound on her forehead and put on a bandage, pretending to be injured. The kind boss saw the injury on her forehead and asked what happened. Yo Jin lied that she had been followed by the stalker and was attacked by him. The kind boss voluntarily offered to drive her home that night for her safety. When they arrived at Yo Jin's front door, they both saw a package. Opening it, there was a dead rat inside. Just then, the boss saw the shape of the stalker and immediately chased after him. Unfortunately, the person still managed to escape. Returning, the boss took a baseball bat from the trunk of his car and left it by Yo Jin's door so she could use it for self-defense. The incident proceeded exactly as Yo Jin had hoped. She herself sent a message to her father asking him to come for the money at 8 p.m. the next day. Then, she deliberately messed up her room. The next day at work, Yo Jin told the boss that the stalker had vandalized her house. The boss thought it was too dangerous for her to go home alone, so he suggested she stay at his house and he would spend the night at a friend's place. The boss put Yo Jin in a taxi, but she quickly sent a message to the boss that she was going home to get some things. At home, Yo Jin indeed saw her father arriving. She tried to show emotion towards her father, which was out of her normal behavior. She reminisced about her childhood, when she thought about buying her father a hat when she grew up. Saying this, she took out a hat that looked like the stalker's hat and put it on her father. After her father's continuous urging, Yo Jin took out a package and gave it to her father, but inside was not money, but a pile of scales. The deliberately provoked father exploded in anger. Yo Jin took this opportunity to call the boss. The boss heard the sounds of pushing and shouting on the phone and quickly rushed to Yo Jin's house. The boss finally arrived. In the struggle, the father scratched the boss's face with scissors. The boss picked up the baseball bat left by the door and instantly knocked Yo Jin's father to the ground. After regaining consciousness, the boss was terrified by the scene in front of him and fled the scene. Yo Jin then picked up the baseball bat and struck her fallen father with tremendous force. After doing all this, Yo Jin's face was covered in blood, as if she had walked out of hell. She picked up her phone and called the police. The police quickly surrounded the scene and arrested the boss. The boss told the police that a stalker wearing a backward hat was harassing Yo Jin. That night, when he saw the man wearing the backward hat, he assumed this person was the stalker and hit him in a fit of rage. Seeing the man lying on the floor, soaked in blood, he realized he had gone too far and called the emergency number for an ambulance. Yo Jin told him that the person was not the stalker but her father. Yo Jin requested that he go home first and not get involved in this matter, saying she would call for help herself. The always calm and rational boss agreed to Yo Jin's request and left the scene. Now, he himself didn't understand why he felt as if he was under a spell at that moment and became a puppet in someone's well-planned conspiracy. After the boss left, Yo Jin took off the backward hat from her father's head and flushed it down the toilet along with the scissors that had cut the boss. Facing police questioning, Yo Jin, who was sent to the hospital, claimed that her father was not wearing a hat that day. Despite her father's death occurring between 9 and 10 p.m., why was the police called at 3 a.m.? Yo Jin said that she had lost consciousness due to her injury at that time. Upon waking up, she immediately called the police and then lost consciousness again. As soon as Yo Jin finished speaking, the police officer received a call from the boss's agent in front of her. He then went outside to talk. Yo Jin, sensing trouble, went to the door and eavesdropped. She heard the officer decided to pin the blame on her because the agent would give the officer a large sum of money for the boss's acquittal. Yo-jin pretended not to know, first recording their conversation with her phone and then also filming the officer taking the bribe in the hospital parking lot. Yo-jin was then brought back to the police station. She used her menstrual period as an excuse to ask the female police officer to take her to the restroom. She took this opportunity to ask the female officer to check her phone. The female officer found the evidence of the officer taking the bribe and immediately reported him. The supervision department immediately started an investigation into the officer, but the clever officer was already prepared. He had filled the empty drink box with a drink and narrowly escaped. The next day, that officer came to the scene again and, surprisingly, found residual fibers of the backward hat inside the toilet. At the same time, he also learned that on the night of the incident, Yo-jin had sent a message to the boss saying she was going home to get something, and then she had called him. The officer was furious at Yo-jin for trying to harm him. Now with new evidence, he swore to accuse Yo-jin of murder. But no one imagined that Jun-rui suddenly came to the police station to surrender, claiming that he had killed Yo-jin's father. On the night of the incident, Jun-rui came to Yo-jin's house and saw that Yo-jin was unconscious, and Yo-jin's father was no longer breathing. To prove Yo-jin innocent, he first removed the floating objects that hadn't been flushed down the toilet. He wiped the floor clean and removed Yo-jin's fingerprints from the baseball bat. He picked up the bat with both hands, leaving his own fingerprints on it. He even went to the motel where Yo-jin's father was staying, pretending to seek revenge, so all suspicions would point to himself. But the police still found flaws and exposed the truth that Jun-rui had fabricated the murder scene to protect Yo-jin. The frustrated Jun-rui angrily choked the police officer's neck, crying and complaining about how hard Yo-jin's life was. He pleaded with them not to blame Yo-jin. The police advised him to be realistic. They had evidence that Yo-jin had used the boss to kill her father. Even if she hadn't swung the bat herself, it was a serious crime. Jun-rui refused to believe that Yo-jin had done this and emotionally shouted that he was the killer. To save Jun-rui and to clear the charges against herself to start a new life, Yo-jin agreed to join the entertainment agency that had always wanted to contract her. The agency's representative, Mr. Ju, used his power to pin all the blame on the boss. The case finally concluded that the boss had killed Yo-jin's father with a blunt weapon. As a condition, Mr. Ju instructed Yo-jin to never see Jun-rui again. He said he would make Yo-jin an international superstar and didn't want any trouble, as Jun-rui's presence could expose Yo-jin's past. Yo-jin went to have her final meeting with Jun-rui. Jun-rui complained that she shouldn't have framed the boss, who sincerely wanted to help her. Yo-jin countered that she had no empathy for anyone, only suffering for herself because she had never been able to live a normal life like others. She wanted to overcome everything and stand at the top, where no one would dare to stop her. Afterward, Yo-jin became a superstar in the entertainment industry. In a short time, she went from a newcomer to a top star. The boss, serving his sentence in prison, saw Yo-jin acting as a nun. He stared intently at the familiar face, his eyes filled with complex and difficult emotions. Lee Yo-jin, the most promising new actress of Changjin Entertainment, walked the red carpet with the superstar Ren Seong. Ren Seong carefully held the corner of Yo-jin's dress so that she wouldn't have any difficulty moving. This golden couple immediately caught everyone's attention. Jun-rui, who had returned home, and Jae-woo, who had already been released from prison, both watched the bright Yo-jin on screen and in front of the camera. At this time, Jun-rui was known as a rising star in the literary world through his novel The Collaborator. Jae-woo, on the other hand, worked as a delivery boy and sent all his earnings to his aunt, who was taking care of his younger brother. However, his aunt still considered him his father's killer and did not let him see his brother. Lee Na, Ren Seong's ex-girlfriend, saw the picture of Yo-jin and Ren Seong on the red carpet. Lee Na was desperate to reconcile with Ren Seong and was dissatisfied with Ren Seong's active closeness to Yo-jin. Everyone at Changjin Entertainment thought Yo-jin was innocent and sweet, But Liane felt there was a mysteriousness in her eyes and that she was not a good person. Ren Xiong was already annoyed by Liane's harassment and reiterated that they had broken up, warning her not to interfere in his life anymore. The enraged Liane took out her anger on Yeo-jin. During the shooting of a rain scene, Liane repeatedly insisted on reshooting the scene where she spoke to Yeo-jin, forcing Yeo-jin to get drenched in the rain repeatedly. The director realized that Liane was intentionally bothering Yeo-jin, yet he said Liane was like his daughter. Liane publicly misbehaved and refused to continue shooting. The director then requested Yeo-jin to forget her position and apologized to the senior actress Liane to avoid a major financial loss for the company. Before Yeo-jin could do anything, CEO Ju arrived on the set and warned Liane that if she continued such reckless behavior, he would expose her scandal of drunk driving and hiring someone else to take the blame for her crime. It was revealed that CEO Ju was Ren Xiong's sister. She had asked Ren Xiong to help the new actress, Yeo-jin, and in return, Ren Xiong had asked her to find a way to remove Liane. Oh-jin watched Liane chasing after CEO Ju and humbly apologizing. Yeo-jin wondered why Liane was so afraid of CEO Ju. Yeo-jin's current manager, who was previously Liane's manager, quietly informed her that CEO Ju had secret information to control every actor, and all those files were kept in CEO Ju's drawer. When Yeo-jin attended an event, Jun Rui was waiting in the adjacent room for an interview. Jun Rui stood in the crowd and quietly watched her. The two, once close, could now only see each other from a distance. Jun Rui's eyes unknowingly welled up with tears. Suddenly, Jun Rui's mother appeared and broke the delicate moment. She was unhappy with Jun Rui's continuous weakness for Yeo-jin. The mother-son conversation was accidentally overheard by Liane. She suspected a relationship between Jun Rui and Yeo-jin and immediately sent people to investigate Jun Rui's past. Jun Rui's mother complained to her son that he had come to see Yeo-jin without contacting her after returning home. There was already bad blood between them because of Yeo-jin, and they left in anger. The enraged Jun Rui's mother rushed to Changjin Entertainment and went to CEO Ju, complaining that Yeo-jin had killed her father but framed an innocent coffee shop owner. She cursed Yeo-jin as worthless and said she was not fit to be an actress. CEO Ju immediately had her escorted out by staff. Yeo-jin apologized to CEO Ju for bringing trouble to her. CEO Ju advised her that she must earn a lot of money and reach such a height that no one could bring her down. Only then could she maintain her position. As Yeo-jin left the office, Liane stood at the door, smirked, and mocked that even Yeo-jin's mother was not on her side, and her past must be very interesting. Yeo-jin went close to Liane's ear and warned her in a cold voice that if things continued this way, only Liane would be in danger in the future. Liane devised a plan to investigate Yeo-jin's past, attending the same event as Jun Rui. After the event, she insisted on having dinner with Jun Rui. Yeo-jin saw the two of them together and immediately guessed Liane's intention. Just then, her manager informed her that there would be equipment maintenance at the company today, and the power would be out from 6 p.m. On her way home, Yeo-jin got out of the car halfway and told the manager to go home and rest quickly. She herself quickly returned to the company, intending to take advantage of the power outage to retrieve Liane's secret blackmail file. Liane, who was with Jun Rui at the time, received a message from Yeo-jin's manager. The manager had intentionally told Yeo-jin that there would be maintenance at the company at night, and as soon as Yeo-jin got out of the car, he immediately informed Liane. Yeo-jin silently entered CEO Ju's office via the stairs. Just as she was trying to enter the safe code, Liane stood behind her, holding her and Yeo-jin's secret files, boasting that the central elevator worked even in emergencies, so she was one step ahead. Yeo-jin followed Liane to the parking garage. Holding the files, Liane asked Yeo-jin to kneel down and apologize. When Yeo-jin refused, Liane slapped her hard. Yeo-jin hit back, saying that was why Ren Xiong didn't want her. This remark completely enraged Liane. She continued to beat Yeo-jin until she heard the sound of Jun Rui opening his car door. Jun Rui saw the abused and pitiful Yeo-jin, and his eyes welled up with tears again, but he didn't dare to step forward. A few days later, the company organized an annual meeting and invited Jun Rui to attend, mentioning that Yo Jin would also be there. At the meeting, Ren Seong suddenly felt unwell and went to the bathroom to take medicine, but the pills scattered on the floor. As he struggled to bend down and pick them up, Yo Jin suddenly appeared in front of him and handed him a bottle of water. Yo Jin returned to the conference room, where the actors' best moments were being shown on the big screen. But unexpectedly, the video ended with the scene of Lee Na slapping Yo Jin. As the guests murmured, CEO Ju rushed to the stage to handle the situation, saying they were just rehearsing a scene. In fact, Yo Jin had already guessed that her manager had betrayed her and leaked the information to Lee Na before going to the company. The manager said that someone in his family was ill and he urgently needed money, and since Lee Na had loaned him the money, he was forced to help Lee Na. Yo Jin then bought off the manager with money, intentionally walked into Lee Na's trap, deliberately provoked Lee Na, and had the manager hide and film the video of the beating. Although CEO Ju temporarily helped Lee Na, Yo Jin privately warned her that if she targeted her again, she would release the video publicly. Relieved after settling the matter with Lee Na, Yo Jin returned to the hall. Unexpectedly, a familiar shadow stopped her. It was the bribe-taking police officer who had been in charge of her father's murder case years ago. The officer was disguised as a server and asked her if she ever thought about the coffee shop owner she had framed all these years ago. Jun Rui, nearby, was about to step forward to help Yo Jin, but just then a colleague came and told Yo Jin that CEO Ju was looking for her. The officer silently left. Taking this opportunity, Lee Na saw the entire scene. She secretly took a photo of the officer and sent people to investigate his identity. Jun Rui noticed Lee Na's every move from afar. Jun Rui returned home and found Yo Jin at his house. After a silence, Yo Jin walked up and hugged him. Then, resting her head on Jun Rui's shoulder, she said she thought her fate would change if she became an actress, but fate refused to let her go. Jun Rui's mother came to her son's house and was immediately enraged upon seeing Yo Jin. Like a maniac, she grabbed her hair and dragged her out. Yo Jin looked at Jun Rui with a look of despair, saying that she was still living in hell. The next day, after the final scene with Ren Seong was shot, Ren Seong invited Yo Jin for dinner. He told Yo Jin that many years ago, when he and the other members debuted as an idol group, the member who was supposed to host an event fell ill due to an allergy after eating a cookie given by a fan. He hosted in his place and slowly became popular, but he knew that the cookie contained peanuts, which would make the member sick, yet he did not stop him. Throughout these years, whenever his new drama was broadcast, that member would send him a message of congratulation. He didn't know if the other person knew what was in his mind, and he also didn't know if that message was a sincere congratulation or a way to punish him. He understood that Yo Jin had intentionally released the video of Lee Na beating her at the annual meeting, and he also understood her ambition to climb higher. However, he still warned Yo Jin to maintain a limit and not to be tormented by internal pain like himself. At this time, Yo Jin received an invitation call to meet the police officer. The officer threatened to expose her murder case if she didn't come. Yo Jin arrived at the VIP room of the nightclub as agreed. Seeing a group of people taking drugs inside, she was scared. The officer called again, saying that this would be her future outcome. Yo Jin ran out in fear and saw Ren Seong. She said someone had told her to come here, but she couldn't say who. Ren Seong, seeing her incoherence, confirmed that she was a mysterious and far-sighted woman with bad intentions in her mind. At the same time, Jae-woo got a job to investigate the police officer's information. He strategically swapped the officer's phone and uploaded the officer's information. He then heard that the officer and a reporter had teamed up to expose Yo Jin's murder news. Realizing Yo Jin was in danger, he immediately contacted Jun Rui and asked what was really happening. Jun Rui told him about the events of those years but lied that Yo Jin hadn't killed anyone, but that the officer was trying to frame Yo Jin. To help Yo Jin together, Jun Rui took him to meet Yo Jin. Meeting after many years, Jae-woo was emotional and hugged Yo Jin, talking non-stop. Seeing Yo Jin laughing and joking, Jun Rui also unknowingly smiled. This is what he wanted in the middle of his life, that Yo-jin should live comfortably like this. Yo-jin told Jae-woo about her plan to trap Ren-seong and asked him and Jun-rui to help her simultaneously. After Yo-jin left, Jae-woo asked Jun-rui why he was helping Yo-jin chase after another man. He thought Jun-rui and Yo-jin loved each other. Jun-rui remembered Yo-jin's words. She would only marry Ren-seong for 1 year and use his position to climb even higher. He was in doubt whether it was right to support Yo-jin's decision. Jae-woo found out Ren-seong's information. Ren-seong lost his parents when he was young, and his grandmother raised him. The grandmother was his only support. Yo-jin heard this and intentionally met the grandmother. After meeting a few times, the grandmother gladly invited her home for dinner. But Ren-seong saw Yo-jin at his grandmother's house and assumed she was using tactics to get close to his grandmother and had bad intentions, so he angrily dragged her out. Yo-jin said that she and the grandmother had only met by chance, and that Ren-seong was the one tormented by his past experiences. Second step, without Ren-seong's knowledge, Yo-jin found the former band member and brought him in front of Ren-seong. The member told Ren-seong that he knew Ren-seong hadn't stopped him from eating the cookie, and he also knew the cookie contained peanuts. He ate the cookie because he was tired of music and couldn't continue as an idol. The messages he sent to Ren-seong all these years contained well wishes, but also the intention to intentionally hurt him. Now he was about to enter another phase of life by getting married, so he wanted to end the past. Ren-seong punched him in anger after hearing this. The member, not getting angry, revealed that he came here today at Yo-jin's request. Yo-jin was genuinely concerned about Ren-seong and was trying everything to alleviate his mental distress. Ren-seong suspected that he might have misunderstood Yo-jin and called Yo-jin himself for dinner. Yo-jin's plan was proceeding very smoothly. Jun-rui and Jae-woo also started their work. They kidnapped the police officer who was preparing to meet the reporter and expose Yo-jin. They learned that the officer's daughter had a history of drug use, and they used this information to threaten the officer to stop chasing Yo-jin. The reporter then received a message from the officer saying that the murder of Yo-jin's father was completely false. He informed Lee Na of the failure to frame Yo-jin. Lee Na thought Yo-jin had dealt with the officer first. Meanwhile, Jae-woo found out that the reporter was Lee Na's man. He didn't understand why Lee Na was targeting Yo-jin. Jun-rui decided to go directly to Lee Na and clear everything up. When the two met, Jun-rui replied to Lee Na's question by saying that he and Yo-jin were unrelated siblings, but Lee Na understood the love for Yo-jin in his eyes. Jun-rui denied it. Afterward, he saw two men looking at Yo-jin's cutout picture, saying vulgar things and making obscene gestures. Angrily, he got into a fight with them, but ended up beaten and lying on the ground. Lying on the ground, unable to move, Jun-rui remembered all the moments he spent with Yo-jin since childhood. Tears of sorrow flowed from his eyes. Before going to dinner with Ren-seong, Yo-jin met Jae-woo and requested him to delay Ren-seong as much as possible. Jae-woo used his motorcycle to bump into Ren-seong's car and then, on the pretext of borrowing Ren-seong's phone, threw it into a gutter. By the time Ren-seong dealt with the road accident, the scheduled time with Yo-jin had passed by an hour. He quickly rushed towards the restaurant. Due to traffic, he got out of the car and ran. Yo-jin waited at the restaurant, assuming Ren-seong had almost arrived. She then went downstairs and waited outside. Ren-seong finally ran to the restaurant door and saw Yo-jin waiting for him. He explained that there had been a car accident on the road, and his phone had fallen into the gutter, so he couldn't contact Yo-jin. Yo-jin did not blame him. Instead, she asked if he was feeling cold and took off her scarf and put it on him. Emotional, Ren-seong spontaneously kissed Yo-jin. At the time of the intimate moment between Yaesun and Renjiang, actress Lee Na's reporters secretly took pictures. Jae-yo, hiding in the dark, captured every movement of the two even more clearly. When Jun-rui was putting a drunk Lee Na into a taxi, he suddenly saw the reporter calling her. He pretended to be Lee Na and answered the phone, learning that the reporter was about to expose the relationship between Yaesun and Renjiang. He immediately called Yaesun to warn her. Yaesun herself offered to meet the reporter. She bribed him with temptation, promising that the exclusive news of her and Renjiang's relationship would be given entirely to him. At the scene, she gave him a USB flash drive containing intimate photos of the two and promised to provide more material in the future on the condition that he stopped following them. Soon after, the news of Yazan and Renjiang's romance spread across the internet, and all major media outlets competed to publish the story. Yazan, who was at the center of the controversy, was rather worried about her agent's rustic love life. She generously allowed her agent to use her card to go to a beauty salon for a makeover. She carefully warned the agent not to drink too much, as there was a risk of telling the truth when drunk. Overwhelmed by this care, the agent quickly returned after getting ready, but she hadn't realized that her date was Jae-yo. When the agent was drunk, Jae-yo lured her into revealing secrets of the entertainment world. The excited agent leaked internal information that could destroy an actor. She had no idea that Jae-yo had already secretly started video recording. Very soon, Lee Na received a video where her agent personally confessed that Lee Na had once driven drunk and forced the agent to take the blame for her. While Lee Na was stunned, Yazan went to her, delighted by her predicament, and warned her that this was the consequence of bothering her. In the next moment, the video was released to the public. Lee Na's phone was instantly flooded with hundreds of curse-filled private messages. The agent who caused this disaster quickly sought help from Yazan, but Yazan dismissed her, saying her words were unreliable and she couldn't be trusted. After completely destroying Lee Na, Yazan focused on her relationship with Renjiang. The two were receiving so many couple commercials that their hands ached, and they openly showed affection in public. The next day, Yazan went to a shopping mall to attend an event and unexpectedly came face to face with Sensi, who was working there as an employee again. Sensi hadn't expected that the devil-like girl would overnight become such a big star, impossible to reach. To take revenge on Yazan, Sensi posted a complaint online, alleging that Yazan had been a bully in school and had deliberately falsely accused classmates. After seeing the post, Jae-yo immediately rallied their former classmates to launch a counterattack. They exposed the truth that Sensi had spread rumors and was eventually forced to transfer schools. Due to the timely counterattack, public opinion not only had no negative impact on Yazan, but many took her side, believing she had been unfairly harassed. Nevertheless, Yazan was disturbed by the incident. That night, she suddenly developed a high fever and began having nightmares. Since Renjiang was working outside, he requested his grandmother to look after her. The grandmother lovingly fed her and gently lulled her to sleep on her lap. The elderly woman believed that Yazan was a good girl. Even if she had truly done those things, there must have been some reason behind it. Never having received such warm care from an elderly person before, Yazan was deeply moved. She voluntarily told the grandmother the password to her room door so she could come and visit her anytime in the future. Just as the incident had calmed down, Yazan unexpectedly met the cafe owner, who had been released from prison, at a temple. The owner did not, as she expected, rush to settle the score with a shout, but calmly asked if she had achieved what she wanted. As they were talking, the grandmother and Renjiang's younger brother, who had come to the same temple, walked over. The grandmother greeted the cafe owner like an acquaintance. Yazan then learned that the grandmother had met the owner while volunteering at the prison. Fearing that the owner would reveal her past in front of the grandmother, Yazan quickly began to speak, saying that she had once worked part-time at the owner's cafe. After leaving the temple, Yazan immediately went to Jae-yo and instructed him to secretly monitor the owner's movements. On the other hand, Jun Rui's new book Dongmyeon was soon to be made into a movie. Media reported that reporters had seen Jun Rui and Lee Na dating and speculated that Lee Na might play the lead female role in the movie. However, Jun Rui, a longtime investor in Changjin Entertainment and Yazan's invisible patron, directly gave a condition to Representative Shu. The female lead of Dongmyeon must be Yazan. When Renjiang learned that the author of Dongmyeon had specifically chosen Yazan for the role, and that the person was also a sponsor of the company, he advised Yazan not to overwork herself and to decide carefully. That night, Yazan went to Jun Rui, scolding him for threatening Representative Xu with money. She also said that he should not have deliberately provoked Renjiang to force Yazan to come to him. Jun Rui changed the subject and asked Yazan, "The one-year contract is over, but she is still by Renjiang's side. Does this mean she has fallen in love with Renjiang?" Unwilling to show weakness, Yazan countered by asking why Jun Rui was so close to Li Na, even after knowing that Li Na tried to expose her. Jun Rui said that Li Na was dangerous to Yazan, so he was deliberately keeping her close to him. Jun Rui then slowly moved toward Yazan, the distance between them shrinking, their breaths almost mingling. Just then, Li Na suddenly burst into the room and threatened to go to Renjiang and expose Yazan's late-night presence at Jun Rui's house. Yazan, unconcerned, prepared to leave. Jun Rui tightly grabbed Li Na, who was trying to cause trouble. The next day was Yazan's birthday. Renjiang carefully arranged a romantic date. Just as he was taking out a ring to propose to Yazan, Li Na suddenly arrived with Jun Rui and publicly exposed that Yazan had been at Jun Rui's house the previous night. The good atmosphere was completely ruined. Renjiang angrily turned and went to the balcony for fresh air. Yazan followed him and said that she and Jun Rui were unrelated siblings and there was no other relationship between them. Immediately after finishing her sentence, Renjiang received a call from his younger brother. After hanging up, he told Yazan that the grandmother had found the diary she lost last year. The grandmother had originally gone to Yazan's house to prepare her birthday meal, but since returning home, she hadn't eaten or drunk anything and was very upset. Since the younger brother had gone out and Renjiang had work, he requested Yazan to go home and look after the grandmother first. Yazan was stunned upon hearing this. She quickly took leave of Renjiang, jumped onto Jaeyo's motorcycle, and rushed towards the grandmother's house. Pushing open the door, she saw the grandmother sitting silently on the sofa, with the diary placed in front of her. Actually, while cooking at Yazan's house, the grandmother's hand had accidentally been cut. While looking for medicine in the cabinet, she unexpectedly found the diary that Yazan had hidden. Jaeyo was waiting outside the door as instructed, and Jun Rui also arrived there shortly after. A moment later, they suddenly heard a loud noise from inside the room. They rushed in to see, but saw the grandmother had fallen down the stairs, and Yazan was standing at the top of the stairs. The grandmother was quickly taken to the hospital, but sadly could not be saved. Renjiang missed the opportunity to see his grandmother one last time. The police began investigating the cause of the grandmother's death. Yazan calmly stated that the grandmother had gotten up to feed a stray cat at the time, suddenly felt dizzy, lost her balance, and accidentally fell down the stairs. At the grandmother's funeral, the cafe owner unexpectedly showed up. Renjiang's younger brother had previously seen the owner at the temple and heard that he had been in prison, so he searched the internet for the murder case related to the owner. The news stated that the incident was related to a part-time student working at the cafe. The younger brother could not hold himself back and went forward to ask if the part-time student involved in the incident was Yazan, who had once worked at his shop. The owner shook his head, saying that Yazan had no relation to this incident, and he was merely a member of the victim's family. All the external rumors were baseless. Yazan, hiding in the dark, approached the owner after hearing these words and merely asked why he was protecting her. The owner confessed that during his first year in prison, he was indeed very angry with Yazan and had planned countless times how to take revenge. But later, he gradually understood that if Yazan had a good adult to guide her in her life, she would never have reached this stage. After the funeral ended, a neighbor secretly told Renjiang that on the day the grandmother died, she had seen a young woman enter the grandmother's house. A little while later, she heard the grandmother crying. She also saw the grandmother hitting the girl's chest and asking tearfully why she had lied to her. The neighbor also added that the upstairs resident had installed a CCTV camera, which might clarify the situation at that time. But when Renjiang went to the upstairs neighbor, he learned that the CCTV video had been taken by the police. In fact, the person who took the video was Renjiang's younger brother. He handed the USB flash drive with the CCTV video to Jun Rui and punched Jun Rui hard. The younger brother firmly believed that the grandmother's death was not Yazan's doing, and he accused Jun Rui of never being willing to trust Jason. Jun Rui was conflicted. On one hand, he was afraid to see something he didn't want to see, and on the other hand, he couldn't ignore the truth. Caught in this struggle, he delayed opening the USB flash drive and eventually got drunk. Liana dragged him home. The grandmother's death deeply affected Renjiang. He broke down and even considered retiring. He just wanted to quickly marry Jason and live peacefully. But Jason accused him of getting scolded by a newly acquainted famous director because the video of him buying the ring was leaked. Then, she cruelly proposed a breakup. Renjiang could not believe it and felt that Jason had turned into a different person overnight. He desperately begged her not to leave, but Jason dealt another fatal blow. She confessed that she had stolen the grandmother's diary. She had initially done it because she wanted to please the grandmother so she could date Renjiang without hindrance. Renjiang completely broke down and asked what she had done to the grandmother. Jason lightly replied that she had only told the grandmother the truth. Before leaving, she told the reporter to publish the news of their breakup, citing that they were both too busy and their paths had diverged. While driving home, Jason realized that someone was following her. In this critical moment, Jayo arrived on his motorcycle and stopped the follower. Jason successfully escaped, but Jayo was not so lucky. A group of men in black surrounded him, and he was beaten, resulting in his head being split and bleeding. As per Jason's instruction, the reporter officially published the news of their breakup. Around the same time, Representative Xu received news. Renjiang, in despair, had committed suicide at home. Jun Rui went to Jason and accused her of Renjiang's death. Jason paid no attention, only saying that she had only proposed a breakup, and Renjiang himself couldn't handle the situation. She told Jun Rui not to have any human expectations from her. She then changed the subject, saying that Jun Rui also had no right to accuse her. She said that when she was about to be drowned in the bathtub by Jun Rui's mother, Jayo would have saved her without hesitation, but Jun Rui was merely a silent spectator. Jason brought up this incident again to instill guilt in Jun Rui's mind, and then she jumped onto Jun Rui's lap, emotionally saying that no matter what Jun Rui does, she would not blame him. After Renjiang's death, fans felt that Jason had indirectly pushed him to his death by proposing the breakup. They collectively attacked Jason. In this moment of crisis, Sensi suddenly appeared and helped Jason escape. As she left, she took Jason's jacket and expensive bag. This settled the old score between the two of them. Representative Xu considered Renjiang like his own younger brother. To avenge Renjiang, he found the reporter Jason had once bought and spent a large amount of money asking him to reinvestigate the cause of Jason's father's death. He wanted the news to be leaked as soon as possible. He wanted to completely destroy Jason's public image and bring her down hard. Meanwhile, Jun Rui's mother suddenly came to Jason. She knelt down and apologized to her, saying that whether Jason forgave her or not, Jun Rui must know that she had apologized. She hoped that this way, she could improve her relationship with her son. Jason's emotions instantly went out of control. She smashed the objects in the room and accused that the person she hated the most at the moment of the grandmother's death was Jun Rui's mother. She said that at that time, she had knelt before the grandmother and repented. She confessed that she had stolen the diary to get close to Renjiang, but later she truly fell in love with Renjiang and sincerely wanted the grandmother to accept her. The grandmother finally hugged her and forgave her. She also promised to keep it a secret and not tell anyone. Just then, a stray cat's meow was heard from outside. The grandmother got up to feed it. Jason also went outside with her and saw the grandmother waving, calling her to look at the cat. But before Jason could reach the grandmother suddenly felt dizzy and fell straight down the stairs. Jason reached out her hand to catch her, but ultimately took a step back. Intense hatred arose in Jason's mind. She thought that if past events hadn't forced her to be so cunning as to steal the diary, today's tragedy wouldn't have happened. Therefore, she would never forgive Jun Rui's mother. On the other hand, Jun Rui finally gathered the courage to open the USB flash drive. The CCTV video completely showed the entire incident. Seeing Jason's helplessness and remorse on the screen, He understood that he had misunderstood her. He was instantly broken with grief and suffered from intense remorse. Changjin Entertainment issued a formal statement announcing the cancellation of the exclusive contract with YA Zhan, and she was formally expelled from the company. YA Zhan, exploding with anger, went to Representative Su and demanded to know why he was doing this to her. Representative Su placed all the blame for Ren Xiong's death on YA Zhan and regretted his initial decision to help her get acquitted of the murder charge and hire her at the company. Representative Su declared that from now on, he would use that past murder case to push her back into the dirty sewer from which she came. YA Zhan pleaded with Representative Su not to be so harsh. Representative Su increased the pressure, threatening that he would only forgive her if she jumped from a height. Seeing this, YA Zhan didn't remain silent either, and sharply retorted that Ren Xiong's mind was already broken, and Representative Su had deliberately pretended not to see it to exploit Ren Xiong for money. Ren Xiong spent 1 year with her more comfortably than the 10 years he spent with Representative Su. Replying to Representative Su, YA Zhan left in a rage. Just when she was feeling restless, Jun Rui's mother suddenly called asking if she had told Jun Rui about her kneeling apology. Jun Rui's mother revealed that she was sick and urgently needed a kidney transplant, so she needed to contact him quickly. YA Zhan put the phone on speaker so Jun Rui could hear his mother directly and see the true intention of his mother's pathetic attempt, which was not sincere remorse. Jun Rui finally agreed to donate his kidney to his mother and was also willing to pay all her debts, but on one condition: his mother should never again bother YA Zhan and her grandfather or interfere in their lives. Before the operation, Jun Rui called YA Zhan and warned her to take good care of herself during this time when he wouldn't be able to be by her side. YA Zhan's biggest worry was Representative Su. She knew that Representative Su's hatred for her was deep, and their conflict had now reached a stalemate. To break this deadlock, one of them had to completely disappear, but she never thought that the situation would suddenly turn. The police received a complaint that there were illegal activities at Changjin Entertainment, such as fund embezzlement and tax evasion. It was also reported that there was a locked archive inside the company, which they used to threaten and blackmail their subordinate actors. The police immediately launched an investigation and arrested Representative Su at the scene. Hearing this news, YA Zhan finally breathed a sigh of relief. The burden on her mind was gone, and she felt completely relieved. Shortly after, she received a call from DIO Entertainment Company, expressing interest in signing a contract with her. YA Zhan went to the entertainment company for a meeting. The person in charge asked her if she knew the company's representative, Wen Dao He, because Dao He himself had personally requested to sign her, and he had previously helped remove the negative news about her on the internet. YA Zhan went to meet Dao He. She had already guessed that Su's arrest was Dao He's doing, and she asked Dao He directly why he wanted to help her, especially when she was currently the focus of public opinion and had a bad reputation. Dao He said that he had investigated her background and deeply sympathized with her childhood hardships, and he wanted to be her protector. He admitted that the matter with Representative Su was only the first step, and he had more plans for her later, but for now, he couldn't disclose them. At the same time, Jun Rui, who was about to be discharged from the hospital, received a call from Zhai Wu. Zhai Wu said that he had something important to tell him and asked him to come to his office. During this time, Zhai Wu was investigating the people who had followed and injured YA Zhan. He found out that the criminals were driving a car with fake license plates, and their true identities had not yet been confirmed. What he didn't realize was that a bugging device had already been planted under his office desk, and every word he said was clearly reaching Dao He's ears. Dao He was determined to erase YA Zhan's past disgrace. He instructed his subordinates to temporarily ignore the post-operative Jun Rui and remove Zhai Wu first as a hidden danger. Zhai Wu, completely oblivious to the imminent danger, showed Jun Rui the scars on his hands and abdomen, and said that someone had intentionally followed YA Zhan and seriously injured her. He suspected that the criminals' intentions were malicious, and their objective was not at all simple. As they were analyzing who was secretly targeting YA Zhan, They didn't notice that someone had silently locked the office door from the outside and was secretly releasing gas inside. Jai Wu was the first to smell the gas, got up to check, and was surprised to find that the door was locked from the outside, and the fire outside the door was continuously spreading inwards. In this emergency, he picked up a nearby chair and tried to smash the glass door. But unfortunately, the gas canister exploded right at that moment, and a huge fire immediately engulfed the entire room. Fortunately, at the moment of the explosion, Jai Wu and Jun Rui quickly jumped from the building. Luckily, neither of them was injured. Worried about Wei Zhen's safety, they repeatedly tried to contact her but were unsuccessful. At this time, Wei Zhen had just signed the contract with Dao Entertainment, and Dao he revealed his complete plan to her. He would arrange for Wei Zhen to star in a new film by a famous director, which would help her debut internationally and compete for an award at a major film festival. Wei Zhen accepted the engagement ring given by Dao He and agreed to his marriage proposal. Just then, Jun Rui suddenly received an urgent call from his grandfather's secretary, learning that his grandfather was seriously ill. He instructed Jai Wu to find Wei Zhen and ensure her safety at all costs, and then he rushed to the hospital. Sadly, he was unable to see his grandfather for the last time. His grandfather had already passed away. Jun Rui's mother came to the funeral and immediately asked if he had any share in his grandfather's property. When she learned that he hadn't received a single penny, she immediately threw a tantrum on the floor and cursed the grandfather. In her emotional agitation, she mistakenly revealed Jun Rui's true identity. Jun Rui was astonished. He never thought that the person his grandfather always doted on was actually an illegitimate child of the family, and that he had no blood relation to them. His mother, seeing this, cursed him even more, calling him a fool, and revealed that Wei Zhen was the demon who had known this secret since childhood, and he was the only one who had been kept in the dark all this time. Jun Rui then understood that his mother had harassed Wei Zhen and driven her out of the house because she was afraid Wei Zhen would expose this secret. He was filled with remorse, believing that Wei Zhen's suffering was because of him, and at the same time, he also expressed resentment towards Wei Zhen for not telling him the truth. Wei Zhen was unusually calm. She said she did it for his own good. If the secret had been revealed earlier, he wouldn't have been able to maintain his identity and enjoy his grandfather's wealthy life with peace of mind. But Jun Rui said he was willing to give up everything he currently had if he had known before that he was indirectly the cause of Wei Zhen's tragic fate, and he would have been willing to bear all of Wei Zhen's suffering himself. Wei Zhen did not want to dwell on the past, which was already fixed, and soon married Dao He and moved into Dao his luxurious villa. This marriage between a star and a billionaire instantly stirred up public opinion. Wei Zhen immediately became the object of public envy. During her inspection of the villa, Wei Zhen noticed that the study on the 3rd floor was locked. She asked the caretaker to open the lock under the pretext of looking around. The caretaker informed her that only Dao he had access to the 3rd floor study. Even Dao, his ex-wife, had never entered there, let alone Wei Zhen. Wei Zhen was very curious about this room. She lied, saying she was looking for a quiet place to read a script, hoping Dao he would allow her into the study. Dao he cleverly avoided the request, saying they could practice the script together, and there was no need to go to the study. Wei Zhen handed the script to Dao He, asking him to help her practice, and mentioned that the character Dao he was playing was the mastermind behind the main character's murder, and she would take revenge on this character. Dao he suddenly asked Wei Zhen if she had ever killed anyone, or if she wanted to kill someone. Then, he began to tell the story of his ex-wife. He had met all of his ex-wife's requests, but his ex-wife was greedy and insatiable, even telling him that she wanted to kill him whenever she saw him. Because of this, he divorced his ex-wife. Later, his ex-wife suffered a complete mental breakdown and is currently undergoing treatment in a psychiatric hospital. The conversation between the two was meaningful, but both pretended not to understand, secretly sparring with each other under the guise of conversation. The next day, Jai Wu specially attended an event where Wei Zhen was present. Wei Zhen seized the opportunity to call him into her car and asked him to secretly investigate Dao He, especially to find out where Dao, his ex-wife, was now. Jai Wu only then learned that Dao He was married. He immediately cursed Dao He as a bad person. He didn't know that their entire conversation was being heard by Dao He in real time. Upon returning home, the caretaker gave Wei Zhen a cup of hot tea, saying it was Dao He's order and that she must drink it. After the caretaker left, Wei Zhen poured the tea down the sink without hesitation. When Dao He returned home, he saw Wei Zhen sleeping on the sofa. He slowly bent down and touched Wei Zhen's cheek, a mysterious smile appearing on his face. Wei Zhen was sunbathing by the swimming pool. Shangji, disguised as a maid, silently came up behind her, holding a knife tightly and aiming it at Wei Zhen. Wei Zhen sensed her presence, suddenly opened her eyes, grabbed the knife, and quickly stood up. Shangji, who had been unemployed for some time, used to come to Wei Zhen's house regularly for food. Even after eating, she would secretly take bags and jewelry from Wei Zhen's closet and sell them secondhand. While carrying a lot of luxury items, she was arrested by the police at the store. Fortunately, Wei Zhen stepped forward and testified, admitting that the items were voluntarily given to Shangji as gifts, and the matter was settled. Later, Shangji returned the items to Wei Zhen. For many years, Shangji constantly recalled the experience of being bullied by Wei Zhen in high school. She firmly believed that her subsequent difficult life had begun from that time. Shangji wanted to apologize to Wei Zhen to quell the anger inside her. However, Wei Zhen never thought she had done anything wrong. She merely replied indifferently that it was the fault of the foolish Shangji for provoking her. When Shangji saw that Wei Zhen was unwilling to apologize, she slashed her again with the knife. The sharp blade cut Wei Zhen's collarbone. With hateful eyes, Shangji complained that she was hovering around Wei Zhen because she wanted to see with her own eyes how she fell, but instead of falling, she had risen even higher. Shangji screamed that she would end Wei Zhen's life with her own hands. Wei Zhen struggled to push Shangji away, but the other party pulled her strongly. Shangji got on top of Wei Zhen and pressed down hard with her hand to ruin her face. During this chaotic resistance, the knife accidentally cut Shangji's face. Shangji saw her reflection in the pool water, immediately broke down and screamed. Wei Zhen lay on the ground, her tears mixing with the pool water, and suddenly began to laugh like a maniac. At this time, Dao He, who had just returned, was watching everything from a distance with a cold gaze. Duo He then kicks aside the furious Wei Zhen and takes the terrified Yu Zhen inside. When Yu Zhen wakes up, he sees Jun Rui beside his bed. He immediately hugs Jun Rui, who comforts him. Jun Rui leans down and kisses him on the forehead, accepting all his weaknesses with compassion. The news of the attack on Yu Zhen quickly spreads. A reporter, who was once bought off by Ju's representative, seizes this opportunity and brings up the old incident of Wei Zhen bullying Yu Zhen during their high school days. He also spreads the rumor of Yu Zhen's antisocial disorder. Zhou Wu sees the news and becomes extremely angry. Through his investigation, he discovers that Wei Zhen has been sent to a psychiatric hospital. Surprisingly, Duo, his ex-wife, was also sent to this hospital once, but is now missing. And Duo, he had already bought the hospital beforehand. All these events point towards the mysterious and dangerous Duo He. Zhou Wu becomes even more worried about Yu Zhen's situation. At this time, Jun Rui starts living with his mother, as if he is trying to repair their mother-son relationship. While patiently taking his mother shopping, a producer recognizes him. The producer is not only interested in his book, but also mentions that some parts of the book coincide with Yu Zhen's father and the bullying incident involving Wei Zhen, and asks if Yu Zhen is the character in the story. The producer invites him for an interview to reveal the past events. Jun Rui immediately rejects the offer, lying that the book is completely fictional. He instantly calls Zhou Wu to ask about Yu Zhen. Zhou Wu scolds him for his indifference towards Yu Zhen and angrily tells him to go to Yu Zhen himself to find out everything. Yu Zhen's condition is quite bizarre at this time. He constantly hallucinates that employees are pointing fingers at him, even coming towards him with knives. 1 second, he was drinking tea given by the housekeeper. The next, he is sitting at a table drinking alcohol. Leaving the room, He finds the kitchen is wrecked and all the doors are broken. Yuzhan asks the housekeeper what happened. The housekeeper is surprised and says that Yuzhan himself did all of this. Yuzhan suddenly recalls that he was punishing the employees, breaking bowls and breaking doors. He also remembers entering the forbidden study room, which is decorated with the wedding photos of duo he and his ex-wife. The housekeeper suggests he see a doctor. Yuzhan lies that he only forgot due to drinking and rejects the advice to see a doctor. He specifically asks the housekeeper not to tell duo he about this. The next day, Yuzhan painfully composes himself and goes to the set, where Jiawoo has been waiting for a long time. Jiawoo asks him why he called him for help earlier, but Yuzhan cannot remember making any such call. Jiawoo is certain that his delusions and memory loss are duo his doing. Jiawoo investigates and finds out that before Zhan attacked him, he suddenly bragged about becoming rich and also meeting with duo he. These two events are not coincidental. Jiawoo advises Yuzhan to get a divorce, otherwise he will be destroyed. Yuzhan doesn't want to lose everything he has gained at this moment. He doesn't want to become the weak person who is criticized by people again. So, he cries helplessly. Jiawoo painfully hugs him and promises that since Yuzhan does not want a divorce, he will help Yuzhan control duo he so that he cannot play any more tricks on Yuzhan. After returning home, Yuzhan has another delusion. He frantically scratches the broken mirror and intensely screams, covering his face. Duo he watches everything with cold eyes. Only when Yuzhan collapses on the floor does duo he put him on the sofa, cleans his wounds, and puts on a sad expression. At the same time, Junrui comes to Jiawoo for an update on Yuzhan. Jiawoo describes Yuzhan's situation in detail and proposes that they should team up to confront duo he. However, Junrui believes there is no evidence in Jiawoo's accusations. He even thinks that Jiawoo is being influenced by Yuzhan. After everything that has happened, Junrui realizes that the greedy Yuzhan will not be easily satisfied. Since Yuzhan has achieved the life he desired, he thinks it's better not to bother them anymore. Jiawoo accuses him of his cruelty, saying that he doesn't understand Yuzhan's fear and helplessness. He says that since Junrui is unwilling to help, he will find a way to protect Yuzhan alone. On the other hand, Yuzhan recovers and returns to the set. He is informed that an extra scene has to be shot. This scene was similar to the one where he initially fought his father. During the performance, he loses control of his emotions, imagining his opponent actor as his father, and repeatedly hits him like a delirious maniac until the man is half dead. When he regains consciousness, he is filled with remorse, but he sees duo he standing aside and applauding. Soon, the incident of the assault on Yuzhan's set becomes a hot search, and the internet is filled with negative news. He asks the director the reason for the extra scene. The director reveals that the investor, duo he, personally ordered to add this scene, otherwise, he would withdraw the investment. Yuzhan angrily runs to duo he near the swimming pool and asks what he actually wants. Duo he directly says that he wants to force Yuzhan into such an extreme situation so that Yuzhan asks him for help, becomes more dependent on him, and finally listens to him completely. Duo he further says that what he is doing should be considered Yuzhan's deserved punishment. In fact, when Yuzhan woke up once, he mistook duo he beside the bed for Junrui and told him that what was happening to him now was the punishment for the time when his mother asked him for help and he just watched indifferently and did not offer any help. Duo he warns Yuzhan that he has thousands of ways to completely destroy him. If he doesn't want to lose anything, he must silently maintain the current situation. Saying this, he cruelly pushes Yuzhan into the swimming pool. Before leaving, duo he calls Junrui and informs him that Yuzhan is mentally unstable and asks him to come and take care of him. Junrui rushes over and wants to take Yuzhan away from there. Yuzhan is completely broken, crying that no matter how much he tries, he will eventually be abandoned. He wants to remove duo he and take his place, and begs Junrui for help. Junrui reminds him that duo he could send his ex-wife to a mental hospital and easily find his phone number to ask him to come for care. This person is much more dangerous than they think. If he insists on fighting him, He will be the first one to be destroyed. The delirious Yujin doesn't listen to any advice. He finds his backup phone and quickly calls Joe for help. Before taking action, Joe secretly visits his younger brother. Then, he stops Duo, his assistant's car, and directly says that he has come to take revenge for the previous attempt to burn him and Junrui alive. Neither the assistant nor Duo he will be able to escape. The assistant immediately informs Duo of the situation. Before the call, Yuzhan was happily eating with Duo He. He doesn't remember at all the argument he had with Duo He near the swimming pool the night before. At this moment, Duo He commands the assistant to take care of Jiao Wu right in front of Yuzhan. Yuzhan continues eating and listens to his words, with no change in his expression. Afterward, Yuzhan shoots his final scene, which was a replica of the scene where he murders his father in the rain. At the end of the shoot, he could not distinguish between dream and reality. He suddenly comes back to his senses only when he hears the sounds of applause for the completion of the shoot around him. At the same time, Jiao Wu was chased by a group of thugs. He leads them up to the rooftop and fights fiercely, but being alone, he is beaten and falls to the ground. Finally, he is thrown down from the rooftop. Before taking action, Jiao Wu had set up a recording device on the roof. While lying on the ground, being beaten by the thugs, he intentionally makes them say that they are killing him with Duo his consent, this crucial information. After his objective is successful, all the memories since he first met Yuzhan flash through his mind. He has no regrets and accepts everything he did for Yuzhan without hesitation. The thugs, determined to kill him, mercilessly throw him off the roof. Afterward, they try to dispose of the evidence by stuffing his body into a bucket of paint. Junrui receives the video automatically sent by Jiao Wu, which was preset on his phone. He immediately calls Jiao Wu's phone and finds that the thugs have taken the phone and the call cannot be connected. Yuzhan, returning home, also calls Jiao Wu and hears the same message that the call is not connecting. He collapses on the bathroom floor, mentally anticipating Jiao Wu's tragic fate. Junrui goes to Jiao Wu's studio to look for him. Jiao Wu's boss is filled with remorse. At this time, he realizes that Jiao Wu was ready to die when he asked him to set up the recording device on the roof. He gives the complete video and the backup memory card to Junrui as per Jiao Wu's last wish. At the same time, Yuzhan, who has obtained the video of Jiao Wu's murder, bargains with Duo He. She demands that from now on, Duo He cannot have any physical contact with her and should not use her as a puppet to be manipulated at will. She knows well that Jiao Wu voluntarily sacrificed his life to bring her this trump card, so she will use it well. After threatening Duo He, Yuzhan receives a call from Junrui. Junrui blames her over the phone for Jiao Wu's murder and advises her to stop. Yuzhan coldly replies that she will never stop. Having come this far, she will be even more cruel. The helpless Junrui calls the producer and agrees to the interview where he will reveal Yuzhan's past. Afterward, he takes the memory card and goes to Duo He, threatening him not to harm Yuzhan, otherwise, he will release the video and slander Duo He. But Duo He is not at all afraid of this danger. Instead, he reminds Junrui of Jiao Wu's fate. He warns Junrui not to suffer an unnatural death like Jiao Wu. Even after this, Junrui tells Duo He before leaving that he will stop Yuzhan, so Duo He doesn't need to do anything, just watch silently. The film starring Yuzhan is successfully released. She gains fame due to the good reviews and is nominated for the Best Actress award. On the day of the awards ceremony, countless shouts and cheers erupt as Yuzhan steps onto the stage. Walking the red carpet, she finally becomes the coveted superstar. She does not notice that Junrui's interview program is being broadcast simultaneously with the awards ceremony. When the host announces that Yuzhan has won the Best Actress award, she steps onto her dream stage amidst everyone's congratulations, receiving the highest honor of her life. At the same time, in the interview program, Junrui reveals Yuzhan's antisocial disorder and details every incident of the crimes she committed. The unaware Yuzhan gives an emotional thank you speech on the stage, but the guests and audience below the stage all start getting news of the scandal about her. As whispers start all around, She returns backstage and sees on the TV screen that Jun-rui is describing the entire incident of trapping and murdering her father. Yoo-jun instantly falls from heaven to hell. She frantically runs out of the venue, and Duo-hee watches her with cold eyes, sitting in the car outside. Yoo-jun stumbles and runs in the street. Just then, Jun-rui, who finished the program, appears in front of her. Jun-rui admits that he regrets understanding too late, because he actually cannot change Yoo-jun's nature. He says, if Yoo-jun agrees, they can go to hell together, and if she does not stop, he will not give up either. Yoo-jun gives a bitter smile and realizes that she thought she was free from all bondage, but Jun-rui is the final chain that she can never break. Jun-rui holds her hand, crying. They both stop all movement and stare at each other motionlessly. Media reports state that the car of the famous writer Jun-rui lost control and met with an accident. Jun-rui died on the spot, and Yoo-jun is missing. The police are investigating the cause of the accident. Before his death, Jun-rui left a suicide note for his mother. In the letter, Jun-rui wrote that every day spent with his mother was filled with pain. He just wants to leave cleanly and disappear from his mother's life forever. He also mentioned that those days spent with his mother at that time were the last warmth he left for her. Jun-rui's mother suffers severe mental trauma and accidentally falls down the stairs. For the rest of her long life, every day of losing her son becomes a silent revenge for her. Duo-hee sends people to look for Yoo-jun everywhere, but no trace is found. No one knew that, with her strong vitality, Yoo-jun had crawled out of the wrecked car. Standing on a high place, she looks back at the deep abyss that swallowed everything. Finally, she survives by breaking the chains of hell. This concludes all the episodes of the drama Dear Ex. To watch the next new drama, please like, comment on our video, and subscribe to the channel. Thank you all for watching until the end.